Linh-chan and Dimi-chan play games. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we just got the fairy bow. I think it's called the fairy bow. And we're going to use it to talk more about advertising. So basically, what you might not know is that every company that's like selling something has an advertising budget, which is why, for the most part, you'll see that they spend, like, you'll constantly see videos like on TV or billboards and things like that talking about like Apple products, for instance, or Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is an excellent example. So Coca-Cola is banking on the fact that you know what Coca-Cola is, so that way you can buy Coca-Cola products, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't buy Coca-Cola products, Coca-Cola goes out of business.
Yeah.
Let me aim this. Coca-Cola will spend millions of dollars every year with no immediate benefit to them, like seemingly, spending ads on like Coca-Cola billboards, so that way, so that way you go and watch, you go and drink Coca-Cola, like that's their end goal, you know. And you might be wondering, like, how do they spend so much money without like an immediate benefit to them, you know?
Well, they start off with a lot of money. I mean, the thing is, you can't go into business without having money to begin with.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people don't realize when they do go into business is that advertising is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to think about your product that you're selling in terms of how much you can advertise it as well. Like, it's not only about how much the product costs to make, because advertising is a cost of business. You need to be able to advertise so that way you can reach people who can advertise, who can buy your product, you know? So, for instance, on every Coca-Cola bottle sold, Coca-Cola decided, hey, 2 cents of this is gonna go towards an advertising budget that we're gonna spend money on just telling people and reminding people Coca-Cola exists. Like in movies, for instance, there's like product placement, and all of that goes towards that goal, you know? So for instance, Lynn opened up an Etsy shop and she is selling like pieces of art, right? So we decided to try Etsy's advertising facilities. And what this does specifically is when you search for something, the advertising basically guarantees that you'll be at the top of the list. So this also appears with like a little ad banner, because I don't think you can advertise to people without them knowing. Like, that's illegal in most countries.
So in like a corner of a thumbnail, there's a word ad at the top. So people know that it's an ad. Yeah.
But what it's doing is basically allowing someone who's searching for like orchid to see Lynn's orchid pieces that she made before anything else that is orchid.
Yeah, and it also fall on how much you're willing to like very similar to YouTube we mentioned yesterday. It's you can set up a daily goal how much you're willing to spend on an item. So I made paper flowers and into like an orchid, and I'm selling that. And so if I want to advertise that orchid, I would have to set a goal of how much I'm willing to spend. And the thing is, you're only allowed to. It's interesting that Etsy only allow you to spend up to $10 a day, when we were willing to do $30 for that one item. So it's interesting. I guess that way more other people have a chance to advertise as well.
Yeah.
And the way it's set up, it's based on tag words. So it's not just like they won't just put my item on their front page. They only do it based on if somebody is searching in the search engine for those keywords that I tag that is related to my item.
Exactly. Because again, Etsy doesn't want to breach the trust that they have with their customers by just putting like nonsense in front of them.
Yeah.
Like they are more invested in making money off of them on each sale that's made rather than the amount of money that's made through advertising other people, if that makes any sense. But that is a crucial part of their business as well. Like I'm sure they do make a significant amount of money.
Oh yeah,
through that.
definitely. I mean, so we set up on my account, we set up to advertise one of the pieces I had, which was an orchid plant, and so we set up to be $5 a day. That's the max that we want to spend on this item is $5 a day. Now, when you do that, you can actually bid to see, you can bid on that item as well. So every time if someone were to click on that item, you can say, I want to spend $1 or 5 cents or 50 cents on this one item, meaning if someone clicks on it, they charge you whatever that bid you put in. And then they also give you a suggestion bid based on
what everyone else
is doing for that item that is tagged with those similar words. But what I notice is that what a lot of people do is that it can get really expensive. People would click on it when they see that ad. However, it's not guaranteed that they're going to be buying that product.
Yeah, so the difference between Etsy and YouTube was that 5 cents does not get you anything on Etsy. Like, it's not really worth it in a way. Yeah.
So you could be selling a product for $100, but if you have people constantly clicking on this ad but nobody is buying it, eventually you're gonna eat up $100 worth of advertisement and you're not making anything back. So that's the difference between Etsy and YouTube.
Yeah,
is that it's not a guarantee. At least with YouTube, if someone watches a 5-minute video, 5 minute of your 15-minute video, you're still getting a small percentage of that ad money. Here at Etsy, you're not getting anything at all. So it was a really expensive process to test out.
Yeah, and more of an experiment than anything.
Yeah, it was an experiment for us to see if advertisement really worked. In the end, the item that I set up had more than like a few hundred impressions a day. However, only like 5 or 6 people would click on it. But every time they click on it, I'm losing money. And just because someone clicks on it doesn't mean they're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So that was the downside of it as well.
So the reason why we decided $30 at the beginning was because if you look at the product that we were selling, of the profit that we made, like taking the cost of material out of the equation, taking cost of labor out of the equation,
taking shipping out of the labor and tax and everything.
So like, purely what was left, like that profit, we decided like a certain amount of that was good for advertising. Yeah. Like if we lose that amount of money, but it equals another sale, then it was worth it. Yeah. If we end up spending more than that amount of money, then advertising is not worth it because you're spending more to make less, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So in a week, we lost about $35. And initially, with our calculation, we had decided that $30 was how much we're willing to spend on one item for advertisement. But within a week, we spent $35.
And there were no sales from those ads.
So in the end, we lost money.
Yeah. So I'd say in the general case, like if we were a big corporation, we would continue doing that ad regardless, and we'd take the average amount rather than just like after $30 give up. Yeah. But we're not a large corporation, so that's not something that's available to us. So that's basically the gist on advertising for the most part. Yeah, on how it works, or based on our experience with YouTube and Etsy. So on YouTube, necessarily we're not necessarily making more money. We're not necessarily making more money, but we are gaining something in return. So for every ad that we show, for instance, it's just more our videos basically. For everyone that's interested in it and that watches through, I'm considering it a gain in value if we end up with
a subscriber.
A subscriber, yeah. Because if someone is essentially interested enough in what we are doing to give us their attention in the future, that's worth more to me on YouTube than anything else, you know? Because that means that in the future, we can have our own advertising for anything that we make. For example, Lynn's shop, we can say, hey, she has a new thing, and that, in a way, is reaching an audience, you know? So I'm not calling everyone that's watching us eyeballs, but if you're interested in hearing what we're saying, you're also interested in a way on what we're making, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Twitter works in a nutshell, which is brilliant for advertisers and horrible for Twitter, is an advertiser doesn't even have to pay money. An advertiser doesn't even have to pay money to Twitter to reach an audience because their audience is already following them.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're interested in Google, you're following Google on Twitter, and you're like, you know exactly when Google has something new because guess what? They tweet about it or whatever, you know? And Twitter doesn't get any cut of that because Google's not paying them for that, you know? So that doesn't mean, that's not to say that, that Twitter is not making any money directly, because they do have ads. They do charge people to like promote a tweet across people who are not following that tweet. And what that does is it kind of enables Twitter to make money, and it kind of forces a tweet that no one cares about in someone else's timeline. And that's how Twitter makes money, for instance, you know? This way. No, I can't reach. Darn. Oh, maybe I can reach that. No. Can I play again? Oh, cool.
Are you done talking?
Yeah.
Oh. So when we were little, on TV, they used to have all these like infomercials, like selling stuff, you know, and that's a form of advertisement as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for like kids, like seeing stuff like, oh, you know, all you need to do is call this phone number and you know, and you get this brand new airplane toys that comes sent, you know, at your house, or that kind of idea. So that was really interesting. But I wonder if they're still doing that.
They are. So back in the day, as you may or am I not close enough? As you may or may not know, like television channels were actually paid for by ads. Like that's how they survived. Is not by you paying cable.
Yeah.
You giving money to the cable company gave zero money to the shows that were on that cable channel. Like when you get like all these cable channels that you're like supposedly paying for, you're not giving those channels any money. The only way those channels make money is if they have ads on their channel. So every time you see like a new commercial, like that's what they're called. Sorry, not ads. Every time you see a commercial, you're essentially consuming money that advertiser gave to that channel for them to be able to watch something. So when you're a kid watching like a TV show and they have all those games that they're supposedly selling, that oh you can pay $19.99 and get a free boomerang or whatever.
Yeah. Or just 3 small payments of $19.99 and you can get this brand new, you know, bicycle or whatever. And I always like...
It's always 3 small payments.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem so much when you're that age, you know? So, like, now that TV is not as widespread of a thing, you might be wondering if that's still the case. Yeah.
And it is, and to a scary amount. For example, on YouTube, on the dark corners of YouTube, there are videos with hundreds of millions of views And these are all like weird things, like Elsa and Spiderman poop on each other, like with poop emoji. And you're like, what on earth is this? Who watches this? And there's a good answer to who watches it, and it's children. So basically, they just click on the next random video with pretty colors, and they watch whatever they see, pretty much.
Yeah.
And through that, they can... through that, they're watching ads. Like, advertisers are not necessarily getting a lot out of those ads because it's children that are not going to buy anything out of it. But guess who does buy things? It's the parents of those kids. And when those kids say, Daddy, Mommy, I want this thing at Toys R Us, the next time they go and they won't shut up about it, it's because they saw it on TV, you know? And those advertisers are not, like, as we said before, they're banking on those, on an advertising budget and using it little by little, you know? Whoa. Hello there. So that's how, like, toy companies, that's why there's such a thing, is because they make a ton of money off kids buying games and toys at, like, Target and Walmart and all those places, because they nag their parents based on what they saw on TV or now on YouTube, the new generation of TV, you know?
Yeah.
Which going on, like, back on TV, like, as an advertiser on YouTube, you know exactly kind of what you're paying for, in a way, because you know how many times your ad was shown and how many times it was successful, you know? But how do you know that when it comes to TV, right?
You don't.
So,
well, based on the amount of people who call in, no?
Yeah, so that's one way. But seeing as it's pretty much time, we'll get into how advertisers check how well their ads are being done next time. Bye, everyone. Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, Linh-chan, Dimi-chan.